We have a problem. We have a big problem at Arsenal, and this is a power problem. It's a Mikel Arteta problem. The power that Mikel Arteta is given at this club is increasing every single day, and at some point in time, we might actually run ourselves into danger. Now, his current contract runs down in 2027. That was signed by Edu, who is no longer sporting director. Right now, according to the Telegraph, Mikel Arteta is going to have a very big say on who becomes the next sporting director at Arsenal. He's going to have a big say on who replaces Edu, and that means he's going to have a very big say on who is going to be his boss. Now, the Telegraph are saying that all the decisions that happen at the club, are reached as a consensus between Mikel Arteta and his team, coupled with Richard Garlick and Tim Lewis. And it's going to be the same this time as they look for a new sporting director. Mikel Arteta is going to have a big say. There is a problem, and the problem I have here is when you give a manager so much power, and when you give a manager, so much say, at times it's good, but it can be disastrous. I mean, we've seen it before with the Arsene Wengers of this world. Every single season, Arsene Wenger would lose games. Arsene Wenger could, lose the hope of winning, the title. And no one would even think that Arsene Wenger was going to be fired. I mean, fans could riot and bang the table, but it's just a mere banging on the table. There is nothing you can do with a manager that has so much power. So let's look into why Mikel Arteta shouldn't have a big say in who is going to come in as sporting director. We need to bring in someone who's independent of Mikel Arteta. This team, this project has been built around Mikel. The people that are overseeing his services, the people that are overseeing his work cannot be under him. They should be above him. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. It's a pretty difficult period to be an Arsenal fan. We have a crisis going on in terms of results, a crisis going on now in management, a crisis that we didn't plan for, a crisis that we didn't think we're going to have. Yeah, we have a crisis, and this crisis looks like it's escalating. Now, the Telegraph have just released a very, very good story. Big up to, Matt Lowe. He's actually broken the story. And they're saying that Mikel Arteta will have a major say in Edu replacement as Evangelos Marinakis lines up a move for him. Now, they're saying that Mikel Arteta will have a major say on how Arsenal replace Edu. After it emerged, the club sporting director is leaving his position to potentially work for Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis. Now, I don't have a problem with that. Edu, wherever he's going, he's a good guy and he will do well. Ed is understood to have taken the decision to stand down, with sources believing he has already been lined up to work for Marinakis, who owns Forest, Olympiacos, a Portuguese team, Rio Ave as well. And there is also a possibility that his wages are going to be tripled. But they're also, importantly, they're going to give him a role that he has always wanted, a bigger role, which is kind of coordinating all the three clubs. And I don't have a problem with that. Now, the Telegraph go on to say, and the line is here. I hope everyone can say it. This is the line, right? This is the line right there. They go on to say that all major decisions at Arsenal, sorry, I just want to highlight this, right? All major decisions at Arsenal are taken by the football leadership team of Mikel Arteta, managing director Richard Garlick, and executive team Lewis. There is recognition, that's a continuation. There is recognition that Arteta, who signed a new contract until 2027 in September, must be given a big say over how Arsenal replace Edu, given how closely he worked with the Brazilian. Arteta is losing a key ally in Edu and will want to be confident he can work equally well with his eventual successor, which will be vital to Arsenal's ongoing success. Listen, I don't have a problem with I don't have a problem with this. I really, really don't have a problem with Mikel Arteta working hand in hand with Edu, and also ultimately working hand in hand with whoever replaces Edu. The problem is having Mikel having a lot of power that is unchecked. Today in the morning, I was talking about one of the reasons why Edu could have left, and the Athletic have said that internally there feels like the people that are supposed to check Mikel Arteta, the people that are supposed to ask Mikel Arteta hard questions, can no longer ask him those hard questions internally. They can no longer, check his power. And now we're hearing that he's going to have a big say on who his direct boss, the sporting director, is going to be. I don't agree with that. I mean, it's a bit similar to what happened with Kylian Mbappe at PSG. The player decides the manager. The player decides, who comes in which management position and what. Now, of course, good sporting directors are very key to the success of a team. You either have a very good sporting director or you have very bad transfers. And I think one of the Arsenal fans has put it correctly on Twitter. I just want to get it right there. I hope I get it right there. It's Callum Starling. And it says Arsenal will need a replacement lined up quickly for Edu, and it needs to be someone good. Prior to Edu, we had a period of really bad transfer dealings. We can't go back to that. The transfer policy reforms or forms the basis of any ongoing success. We can't get the decision wrong. And it's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. Getting the right sporting director literally means everything. It literally means that the team is going to go forward. It literally means you're going to buy well and sell well as well. But let's look at this, guys. Let's look at it in this perspective. Mikel Arteta over the weekend was asked whether Arsenal miss and need a player like Alexander Isak in the team. And he said, wallahi, we don't need a player like Alexander Isak in the team. He said he wouldn't swap his forward players for any other players. He loves his players the way they are. Like, okay, let's look into it. Who are our forward players, and who are they, and would we swap them for anyone? Bukayo Saka. I wouldn't swap Bukayo Saka for anyone. I think Saka is the only player on that forward line that has performed beyond reasonable doubt, and he has given us more than we deserve. So Saka, 100% irreplaceable, untouchable, tick. But when we think about the other players, let's start off with the strikers, right? Because the question was about Alexander Isak. Kai Havertz is not at the level, will never be at the level as a center forward of Alexander Isak. And I'm saying this because Alexander Isak is a natural forward. Like, he is a player that you can trust to put the ball in the back of the net. Kai Havertz is not. And this is not me taking a dig on Kai Havertz. He's done well. He's given us all his best. But still, his best is not good enough to compete or to say that you wouldn't swap him with Isak, you wouldn't swap him with anyone else, right? Second is Gabriel Jesus. Now, with Gabriel Jesus, again, Mikel Arteta, he's arrogant a little bit. He's too arrogant, actually. When you say you can't swap your players with anyone else, are you really saying that you are happy to have a player like Gabriel Jesus, right, at the team, while Bayern have Ken, while Madrid have Mbappe, while Barcelona have Lewandowski, while Osimhen is at Galatasaray, while you have Lukaku at Napoli, while you have Vlahovic at Juve, and you're fighting for the Champions League, and you're saying Gabriel Jesus, you wouldn't swap Gabriel Jesus for anyone else? He's either lying or this is like a complete obsession with his players, which is in any case disastrous to the team. We need a manager, an objective manager, the one that resembles Mikel Arteta when he had just come in. We need a manager that can see that ABC is not good enough. And that was Mikel Arteta when he had just come in. Like he cleared garbage out of this team. He cleared the deadwood out of this team. And the team, I tell you, when the sun hits this team, the rays go through. It's a little bit transparent. It's cleaner. But for him now to say, I've made my team and I wouldn't swap my players for anyone else, this team is not going to win you the Premier League. This team doesn't win you the Champions League. So it's either you're saying we don't mind winning as long as we have our players. So when you put that into context, and I'm not even going to talk about Martinelli and Trossard, because again, Trossard and Martinelli, both of them, one player like Pedro Neto is an upgrade on those guys. One player like Nico Williams is an upgrade on those guys. If Williams enters this Arsenal room, Martinelli is out of the door. Like, seriously out of the door. And I know many people are going to say, oh, because he's been improving. I tell you, if we have lost Emile Smith-Rowe, if we have the guts and the heart to lose Emile Smith-Rowe, I don't think there's so many upcoming talents that cannot be sold in this team. So for me, Mikel has got to be checked. Mikel has got to be questioned. This is meant to be a season of high pressure. This is meant to be a season of accountability. But it doesn't seem so. This is a guy that plays Partey at right back when he has Ben White and he's looking for a goal. He's looking for an equalizer, and he brings on Zinchenko and he brings on White on the pitch. This guy doesn't strike me that we have a manager who is rushing to show the fruits of what we are building. We've trusted the process, and the process is about to let us down. So these are the dangers of this statement. I want to be clear. When you say that your manager, right, is going to have a major say in who comes in as sporting director, this means two things. One, you're building your team around this manager. You're not building a structure. You're building a team, right, around one person. You're not building systems. You're not building structures. You're just looking to build a team around Mikel Arteta. This is a mistake that we have done before, and I thought we would have learned. Because I'm looking at a team like Chelsea, and Chelsea have gone through a very, very bad period. And yeah, you know, every team does. But what Chelsea have done is they've gone and signed quality players that any manager would actually put to the pitch and do a job. So Caicedo in midfield is a good player. Lavia in midfield is a good player. Pedro Neto is a good player. Cole Palmer is a good player. And many of these players that Enzo Maresca is actually turning into gold mines, they're not Enzo Maresca signings. The problem with Arsenal and what we are doing, and why I'm feeling cagey about it, is we have given Mikel Arteta what he wants to implement the Guardiola 2.0 project at Arsenal. I'm telling you this for facts because there are so many managers that are going to come in. Imagine Zidane comes in at Arsenal and you give him Ben White and Calafiori at left back and right back. He's never gonna play that. I mean, he wants a proper right back who can, run down that line, bring in decent crosses, and affect the game. The same as a left back. So we have built everything around Mikel Arteta, and we are bringing in we brought in a sporting director in 2019, Edu. He hired Mikel Arteta, and Arteta made Edu a puppet of him for himself. Because all these signings, I can see 1 or 2 or 3 signings that, maybe are not Mikel Arteta signings, and then maybe they're general. But all these signings, they are signings that are not looking at what if Arteta goes. So we are running a project, and the project is called Arteta Must Deliver. If he doesn't deliver, we are screwed. We are dead. So I don't like it. I don't like it when you have everyone under, the spins of Mikel. Let us bring in people that can independently say, for example, if you brought in like Monty, if you brought in like Steven Mislintat, anyone. I want someone who can independently say, this manager is lacking in these areas, and his team, who are almost at the same level as him, or even below. So I want a guy that can go and sit with Tim Lewis and sit with Richard Garlick and say, let us sack Arteta. At the moment, Edu was not going to do that. If Mikel brings in his man, we're not going to have that. And I'm not saying I'm desperate to sack him. I'm saying, can we have a guy who can call a meeting and question Mikel Arteta? You asked for a 50 million right back in Ben White. He is fit and available. Why are you playing Thomas Partey at right back and we're losing the game? If we win, it's okay. So I think we've got to check this guy. We've got to check Arteta. He can't do whatever he wants. Otherwise, we are going to go back to the same old problems of Arsene Wenger. Because look at this previous summer. This previous summer introduced Raheem Sterling and Mikel Merino into the shirts of Arsenal. Both of them, if you got rid of Xhaka and you got rid of Mesut Ozil and you got rid of Torreira, Mikel Merino is not your guy. Like, don't sign him. Then Raheem Sterling, I don't know what to say. Because, Arsene Wenger has had his, catastrophic, transfers at this team. But Raheem Sterling might be one of the best case scenarios where you're not blind, but you just feel like stepping into a ditch. We just stepped into a ditch with our eyes open. Like, really open. We've got to check him. We've got to check Mikel Arteta's power. Regardless, I think we need to have people that are independent above him, and they can tell him, in the Aston Villa game, you were the problem. As simple as that. When we lost to Aston Villa last season, we should have independent people who say, you were the problem in this game. If you had played your best 11, you win this game and we win the title.